In the news tonight, President Rodrigo Duterte returns home tonight after a two-day official visit to Vietnam. The president will proceed to Davao City from the Vietnamese capital of Hanoi. A highlight of the president's visit was a meeting with his Vietnamese counterpart, Tran Dai Quang. Rocky Ignacio reports from Hanoi.
A welcome ceremony was given to President Rodrigo Duterte at the Presidential Palace in Hanoi, Vietnam. The president and his delegation were formally received by President Tran Dai Quang. President Duterte arrived in Hanoi for a two-day official visit. The president was joined by members of the cabinet and Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Chis Escudero. During the bilateral talks, President Duterte and Quang have agreed to enhance cooperation on maritime security based on the ASEAN Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. Just like the Philippines, Vietnam has its claim in the South China Sea, including Brunei, Taiwan, Malaysia, and China.
You'll have to see this in the context and in the environment under which the president made that statement. He said it in the context of the settlement of our disputes in the South China Sea. And he specifically pointed out on two particular actions. One is engaging in joint patrols with the United States, for instance, in the South China Sea that is outside our territorial boundaries, outside the 12-mile territorial limit, where he said that there should be no joint patrols of these areas if we are trying to protect ourselves from encroachments in our exclusive economic zone or in our entitlements under the EEC. Because these are actions that are provocative, and this will in fact just heighten the tensions between China and the Philippines, and it will impede the peaceful settlement of these disputes. And the president has always been consistent since day one on this matter. There can be no joint patrols involving gray ships. If I remember very distinctly, this is what he said, and he explained what gray ships imply. These are military vessels as compared to white ships, as he said, which involve civilian or Coast Guard vessels.
The meeting also focused on the improvement of cooperation in trade and investments. President Duterte has invited businessmen in Vietnam to check on the Philippines' potential for investments. Meantime, President Quang assured President Duterte enough supply of rice. The Philippines imports rice from Vietnam.
So sa agriculture, we basically ask for, and we thank also Vietnam for providing us a stable and quality source of rice. No? And the President has indicated that yung gratitude for Vietnam being a reliable source. As you know, Vietnam is the source of about 48% of our rice imports. No? So at least we have an assurance that Vietnam will continue to help us with the supply. And walang agreement pinirmahan, but I think for the next 2 years, there is a mutual understanding that rice requirements that we would have can be supplied also from Vietnam. More than that, the good thing here is that both sides, the presidents of both countries, Philippines and Vietnam, have agreed to really level up the trade that we have. No, in other words, increase the trade numbers that we have. Essentially, since the Philippines still has a lot of products with great potential in the Vietnam market, the president himself asked for the cooperation from the Vietnam people to consider importing products from Philippines as we import rice from Vietnam.
Senator Alan Peter Cayetano described the visit of President Duterte as significant since the Philippines and Vietnam are strategic partners. The Philippines will host the 2017 ASEAN Summit, while it's Vietnam's turn to host for the APEC Leaders Meeting.
So if two countries have a diplomatic relationship, kumbaga sa tao, yun ang mga friends. But with Vietnam, we have a strategic partnership agreement. So kumbaga sa tao, yan yung best. Di ba? Naghahanap ka ng may best friend ka. So, two countries have previously agreed on a 6-year strategic plan. So, 2017 to 2022. So, the agreements you were asking about, dyan malalaman yan. So for example, sa atin, ang interest natin yung supply ng rice, quality at mas mura. Of course, also the agricultural learning so that we can also be sufficient sa rice. Sa kanila naman, they're into construction, oil and gas exploration. And then the countries with the industry na may cruise cannot survive na isang bansa lang.
Vietnam was the third country that the president visited since he assumed post last June. The first was in Laos for the ASEAN Summit and a working visit in Jakarta, Indonesia. For PTV News, Rocky Ignacio, Hanoi, Vietnam.